Right, so aubergine seedlings, having a bath.
Yes.
So we're just going to plant these aubergines today, and I noticed when I picked them up that they were actually really dry. The best way of telling on whether your plants are dry or not is the weight of the pot, and these are really light. So I'm giving them an intensive watering. So you're better, if you really want to water deeply and quickly, you're better off putting them in a bath of water rather than using a watering can, because otherwise a lot of the moisture might evaporate, especially on a warm day, from the surface of the compost. So that's it, but you can see the seedlings have come along really well.
They have enormous leaves.
Yeah, so if you remember, we sowed these in, it was kind of second week of February, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was around the middle of February.
And we did prick them out and pot them out into a smaller pot, and then we put them into a larger pot like that, and they're really going for it now. It's early May now, it's really starting to warm up, and they are loving it. So it's time to plant them in the polytunnel beds. So we get going. So our aubergine plants, it's going to be a climber. Well, it's not a climber like a bean or a pea that it's actually going to grip onto things, but we're going to be coiling this handily placed twine. So basically I'm using the same length twine. They're always tied up to poles on the ceiling there, or the roof, whatever you call it, in a polytunnel. So these were used for tomatoes last year, but it's going to be used for aubergines this year. Now you could use a bamboo pole either, depending on what's handy for you, but I find this twine method is good for me. So basically what I'm doing then is I'm going to dig myself a little bit of a hole, just slightly bigger and slightly deeper than the pot, and then I'm going to bury my twine underneath the plant. Okay.
Okay.
So you can see in there, and we just throw a bit of soil on that to hold that. Okay. Now this soil is actually quite well fed because we've put a layer of really well rotted garden compost on it. But aubergines are pretty heavy feeders. You can see all that luscious green growth. So I don't really need to in this instance, but I'm just going to show it anyway. A good feed is a seaweed and poultry manure pellet. This is one we actually make ourselves. The thing about if you're using a pelleted feed like this, it's a slow release natural feed. We don't put it just straight into the planting hole. We can put a little bit in there, but the spread of the roots of our aubergines is going to be about 50-60 centimeters. So if we're fertilizing around the plant, and this is going to be the same for tomatoes or peppers or courgettes, any of those heavy feeders, you're spreading your pellets in a wide arc around the plant, because that's where the roots are going to be when it grows out. Yeah, okay. And I'm putting about 150 grams per square meter is what I'd use for that. So then if we have a look at our plant, so to get it out of the pot, I'm just squeezing the pot just to loosen it up. And there we go. And we can see as regards root growth there, that's about perfect. Okay, if you'd let it go for another few weeks, it would start to get pot bound, but that's absolutely bang on. So we're going to pop it in then.
And then what's the spacing for aubergines?
Yeah, as I said, it's about 55 odd. Oh, here's Lola.
You have a little helper.
It's about 55 centimeters. So we want plenty of room around the plants. So planting then, I'm just pushing the soil in and firming it in nicely in around the roots there. Giving it a nice firm footing. And then we can see there in our twine, it's not tall enough yet, but what's going to happen is once it starts to grow, we're just going to coil it around our twine there, and in exactly the same way as we would a tomato. So there's our aubergine, and we give it a quick water. Okay, so as with any seedling that you plant, we want to give it a really good drink, but this is particularly important with aubergines that need plenty of water. And then I want to be keeping an eye on it and kind of watering really every 2 days or so after planting. And then even as it's growing, you saw those lovely big leaves. I mean, they're going to be really sucking up the moisture from the soil. So once it's growing up our twine, then on a hot sunny day, you need to keep a close eye on them. If you see the leaves starting to wilt, then they might need a little bit of extra moisture. So our, which one is it? That's a Black Beauty, isn't it? Isn't that the
Yes,
variety
yeah.
of that one? So good luck, Mr. Black Beauty. Hopefully that'll work out. And we'll be back probably in maybe 6 weeks or so when it's a lot bigger and we can look at growing it up the twine. Last thing though, happen to have some fleece here. So basically it's now early May and we're planting in the polytunnel. If you were lucky enough to have a warm enough garden to grow aubergines outside, and I would say you probably wouldn't, but if you did, then it's really mid-June is the earliest you can plant. And for the polytunnel, even early May is a little bit risky. So if we have any risk of frost, we're basically just going to put a layer of horticultural fleece around it like that for the night, just to protect it, because aubergines, as we said, do not like frost or cold temperatures. So that's it. We will be back in maybe 6 to 8 weeks and we'll see you then.